Hi everyone, we're on section 1.2, example 3. We're working with fraction lines, which are also considered division signs. Remember that when we work with fraction lines or division signs, you want to actually make sure you solve everything that you see on the numerator until you have one term. And then also the same thing for the denominator. So if you look at the denominator, the 3 is one term. There's no operations there, so that's what you're looking for. So we're going to rewrite the problem. And we're going to write 9 plus, and then it's 8 minus 2 over 3. And then when you're looking, I also want you to read what's up here. It's talking about how you have that multiplication sign, and there's also what's called a raised dot. It's not a decimal, it's a raised dot. If you notice, it's high up. It's like in the center, are used to indicate multiplication. You can also use parentheses to indicate multiplication. So for example, you see a number next to a parenthesis right here. That is telling you to multiply. It means the same thing as this. All right, so instead of using the multiplication sign, you just put the number next to the variable, and that shows multiplication. And that's what we're working with today. So we have 9 plus and then 8 minus 2 over 3. So it looks like we have to work with our fraction because 8 minus 2, we need to get that to be one term. So we're going to rewrite it, and we're going to write it as 9 plus and 8 minus 2 is 6. And then we're going to write 6 over 3. So now remember that fraction line means division. So you could do 6 divided by 3. So 9 plus 2, and then 9 plus 2 is, oops, I almost wrote 10, is 11. And that's your final answer. All right, so now we have our problem B. We have 10 minus 8 times 13 plus 7 with the grouping of 13 plus 7 divided by 4 squared. So if you notice, here is that number next to the parenthesis, which means multiplication. So if we follow our PEMDAS, okay, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, parentheses, exponents, multiply and or divide left to right, and add, subtract, whichever comes first, left to right. So we're looking here, parentheses. We do have parentheses. We have the 13, we have the 13 plus 7. So we're going to rewrite it, and if you want, and you're still needing to underline things, you can. So you're going to rewrite 10 minus 8. I'm still keeping the parentheses because remember the number next to parentheses means multiplication. So I'm going to write 20 and then divide by 4 squared. Now, if you didn't kept those parentheses, it would look like this. And we don't want that because it's not 820, it's 8 times 20. Okay, so that is a no. All right, so next let's get our other color, and let's look. So parentheses, I'm looking at parentheses right here. Oops, sorry. I'm looking at parentheses right here. And it's saying to do this first, but those parentheses that they're meaning has to say there has to be an operation in the middle. So for example, there's an operation in the middle of those parentheses, so you have to solve. Here, there is no operation where that 20 is, so that means that this is just multiplication, so that is not considered parentheses. So that means we're with exponents. So we're going to underline the exponents, change the color, and we're going to write 10 minus and 8, keep that parentheses, times 20, divided by, and 4 squared, which is 16. All right, and now let's look. It looks like we're going to do multiplication or division, whichever comes first, and it looks like what's coming first is the 8 times 20. So we're going to do 10 minus, and 8 times 20 is 160, divided by 16. So now we have subtraction or division. So it looks like we're going to do our division because that comes before subtraction. And we're going to do 10 minus 10, which gives us 0. And that's your final answer. If you would like to, and I didn't say this before, that 8 times 20, you could have said 8 times 20 with the raised dot. You could do that with this. That would work. When it works, when we have decimals in our problem, you technically don't want to use it because then you get confused between the decimals and the raised dots.